Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's a Saturday, the 12th of February 2022. The year is going so fast. Welcome, welcome. I see people are coming on. Today we have an interesting topic for you, and of course, I am bringing the familiar faces. Today it's a Saturday, and I want to appreciate you for being here with us. I know that you could be doing other things, but you are choosing to be here. Thank you so much. I want to again let people know that if you're not part of this community, you happened to bump into it right now, please like and share and subscribe because I don't want you to miss these discussions. I bring these amazing speakers, these are thought leaders in their expertise. They come and share their wisdom with us. So please share this with your relatives, with your friends, with your colleagues. Today's topic, as you can see on our screen, is quite sensitive. If you're not ready for such discussion, I'll be happy if you excuse yourself. And of course, if you're willing to be here with us, would appreciate that. Okay. And of course, our show here is every week on Saturday. Last year we used to do it on Fridays, and some of you actually proposed we do it on a Saturday. And I think it was a good idea because I can see you guys have time. It's an evening in South Africa. It's 7 p.m. It's 10 a.m. in Calgary, Canada. And of course, it is 12 p.m. in the East here in our country. And of course, welcome again. I see people are coming on. Our LinkedIn family, I'm unable to pull up your comments. So forgive us. We'll be able to read your comments when we are done. For some reason, StreamYard and LinkedIn, it does not allow it. But it's okay. We'll be able to see your comments. Again, happy Saturday, happy New Year. I have my beautiful panel here for you. Next to me is Dr. Tope Roberts. She's a family physician specialist. She does a lot of things. She wears a lot of hats. This woman, she's my mentor. I look up to her. She's got over 25 years experience in this field. She's done so many things. She's a mentor. She's actually an author. She's got a beautiful book that actually touches on the discussion we're going to discuss today. And of course, she is also an associate professor in one of our universities here. She gets to mentor our medical students and of course the residents in family medicine. And she runs her private practice with her partners. Welcome, Dr. T.
I'm really excited. Thank you so much, Dr. Onati. Can't wait to get started. Thank you.
I'm excited. I can't wait. And actually, next to Dr. T is also my lovely friend, Dr. Charles Odame-Ankrah. This man, I don't know how he gets to do all of this. He is actually a father, obviously. He does so much. He's an air pollution scientist. I get to pick his mind with a lot of crazy things that are happening in the world. I don't know how much time he has to read all these things and get to educate the world around him. He's actually the head of, actually, is chief or maybe president of a Ghanaian association here in Calgary, in Canada. She's also involved in a lot of things in the community. She runs a lot of things in the community, being part of the father of all these associations that he's involved in. And we get to pick his mind. I'm glad we could bring a man in such a sensitive discussion. Dr. C, welcome to our discussion again.
Thank you, Dr. Unati. Thank you, and Happy New Year to you all. Dr. T, Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year,
I hope 2022 has started well. Can't wait to get into it.
Yeah. I know. So guys, last year we did a sensitive topic. We did part 1 and part 2. We're doing part 3 now of a continuation actually of our discussion. We talked about mother wounds and we talked about father wounds. But today we're going to talk about a topic that could lead to those wounds. We're talking about a sensitive topic, how to overcome abuse in marriages and of course in relationships. I like to call it intimate relationships because some people are not married but are in abusive relationships. And of course, now with the world, how it's like, we have also same-sex relationships and we see a lot of this abuse. You know, Dr. T, do you want to just take out and let us know what is it abuse, what abuse is? Because a lot of people don't realize that they're in abusive relationships.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So abuse is any condition that causes maltreatment to the victim. So usually for an abuse to occur, we need to have a perpetrator and we need to also have the victim. Now, most people, when we talk about abuse, usually in relationships, always think it's the man against the woman, but sometimes it's the woman against the man. And just like you said, in same-sex relationships as well, either gender can abuse the other. So any form of maltreatment of that opposite party that makes them feel less than, that makes them feel traumatized, either physically or psychologically, that makes them feel they're of no good, that makes them feel repressed, that makes them feel suppressed, that can even eventually cause mental health problems. So any sort of maltreatment of one individual towards another is abuse.
That is packed, Dr. T. We're going to unpack that. Dr. Charles, fortunately, I am a man. We know this. World Health Organization tells us this. Women are more abused than men. And of course, we know that, as Dr. T is saying, that even men are abused. Why are women going through abuse? I want you to unpack this for us, because every day women are in shelter centers. Women show up to our clinics. What is going on?
I am going to delve into, and permit me, I'm going to be very raw and blunt, Doctor.
That's what I like about you.
Our
Yeah.
society has set up women to be abused and to oppress women. There's no way to put it. It is our society, the way our society is structured. Okay, our society is structured such a way that a woman belongs in the kitchen, and that's it. And when a woman goes to the kitchen, I'm talking about 300 years when it was a thing, and I will tell you how it has evolved. The woman belongs to the kitchen, a woman bears children, takes care of the home, takes care of the husband, okay, but nobody takes care of her in return. And a woman is not supposed to complain, and a woman is supposed to be humble. And that word humble, do not confuse it. It means that allow yourself to be abused without ever fighting back in so
Wow.
many ways. When they say in our culture, when they say a woman, she's arrogant, she is humble. If you talk to men and we unpack it, you will realize that that is what we mean. A humble woman in our mind is a woman who will not complain, who will take it all in. It's a woman who will just accept it as is. That is why, I don't know, Dr. Unati, if you've looked around us, educated, intelligent, and powerful women, no matter how sweet and how awesome they are, they struggle in their marriages and they struggle in their relationships, because in the minds of these men, the education and financial empowerment of these women has caused them to break that barrier. So they put these women in a box. Okay. So I'm putting you in a box, Dr. Winati. Oh, she's a medical doctor. She's making X amount of dollars. Yeah. So she's arrogant. That's it. So when Dr. Winati says, no, honey, I disagree. I think we should do it this way. The next response is that I told you. I told you she's arrogant. So our society has set up women to be abused. Secondly, women have set up women to be abused. Let me unpack that. Most of the abuse is encouraged by other women. Okay. A woman is going through abuse, she reaches out to friends, family, mothers. And sometimes what they tell me is that, oh,
Stay.
manage it. I went through a broken home. So manage it and pray for the man. He will change. I have seen women killed in their marriages and in their relationships. Not physical, not using, I'm not talking about the physical violence where they kill them, but through emotional and mental damage. I have seen women in psychiatric homes because of what men have done to them. Okay, so our society has set up women to be abused. And I know you ask, why do men get abused too? And that is also another tricky thing, if you permit me to just touch on that quickly.
You know
Some
what?
men
Before you
get
do that,
some
Dr.
men
Charles,
some men get abused when the women fight back, or the woman uses her experience as a defense mechanism against future abuse, and then the man becomes an unintended victim of an abuse. I was
Dr. Charles, it's interesting you mentioning also that element of carrying the trauma from the previous, and then you bring it here. I was looking at the World Health Organization stats. Very sad. Women, over 30% of women will or have experienced abuse in their lives. This is a global stats, 30%. And this age between 15 to 49, they accept that it has happened through an intimate relationship. And there's over even 30% of women that die due to intimate relationship abuse. Now let's talk about the violence. Of course, we talked about it sexual sometimes, it's physical sometimes, emotional. Dr. T, in your practice, do you ever see women coming in or men coming in to complain? Or do you have to dig it out?
Most of the time we have to dig it out, and that's because abuse is so stigmatized, and a lot of women that are actually being abused, same for the opposite sex, don't even realize that they're being abused. So your patient that keeps coming with depression, you keep giving antidepressants, she comes, oh, it's not working, then you change it, oh, it's not working, then she sees the psychiatrist, oh, it's not working, until you sit them down and say, how are you really? Let's forget about the pills. And then you see the flood of tears come out. You see them tell. In fact, a patient comes to mind. Of course, I can't mention the name. For almost a year, she was off work. And she kept telling me it was because her son was a drug addict and everything. And then recently she goes, oh, Dr. Roberts, my divorce is almost through. I said, divorce? What's been going on? She said, you know what? My partner, Mr. Joe, has been abusing me. He's tried to take all my property. He's tried to take my money. He's been so controlling. And I said to her, so this has been a big part of your presentation all these years. She says, yes, but I needed to get myself out of the situation. So you can imagine, for almost 2 years, I was following up with this woman. She was seeing specialists. We were signing her off work. Meanwhile, the fire that was burning was domestic violence and abuse. So it's not, people don't always come into you to say, I am abused. And that's why we have to be vigilant. As practitioners, we have to be vigilant. As friends to people, we have to be vigilant. If you have a friend that's really outgoing and so all of a sudden she's very withdrawn. And sometimes it's the flip side. Someone that you know has always been so withdrawn, suddenly is outgoing and doing a lot of things that is unexpected. It's good to sit them down and say, are you okay?
What's going on?
I say, oh, I'm fine. There's nothing wrong. I say, are you really okay? And sometimes you find that they can become vulnerable with you. So it's not always black and white. We have to be observant, we have to be sensitive, and we have to be ready to dig in, especially for those from the ethnic minorities, just like Dr. Charles said. We are taught to live in an environment where abuse is okay, where our mothers went through it. I mean, the last show I talked about how many times I had to witness my father physically abuse and traumatize my mother. And the scars lived with me for life. So we've been told that, and my mother never left. Oh, she left a few times, but she always came back. She came back for her children. But I thank God that she had such a great mental grit, because, man, I don't know how she didn't go crazy.
Yeah.
But she put up with it. And one thing I said to myself in my relationship, the day a man lifts his hand against me is the end of the relationship. There are no two ways about it. It's non-negotiable. Once it happens once and they say, I'm sorry, it won't happen again, my sister, it's going to happen several times. I'll stop there.
Wow. Dr. T, it's interesting you say your mother kept going back and coming back. Aren't we seeing the same pattern today? Women we connect with, men we connect with, they basically attract the same experiences. They keep going back to the same, or even in the beginning, they attract such a partner. Dr. T, you want to comment on that? We see this all the time.
Yeah, we see this all the time. Yeah, there's something called the abuse cycle. And just give me a few minutes to go through this. And I coined an acronym called calm tires. A tire that works is not calm. A tire keeps moving. So calm tire is the acronym for a period of calm in the relationship when everything is okay. Then you have a period where the anger starts to build up, the intentional part of it, where the man is just grumpy or the woman is just grumpy for no reason. The tension is starting to rise up in the abuse cycle. Then you have the actual incident happen. So we have a period of calmness, we have a period of tension. Then there's a period where the incident happens, and then there's reconciliation, when you get all the pastors to talk to you, all your family members to say, you know what, it's just okay. And you know what happens in the mind of the victim? You have the oxytocin build up, you have the feel good hormones get there, and they're like, oh, you know, maybe he really loves me. He's come to say he's sorry. He's called his mom, his dad, his family, they've all intervened. And so we have that feel good period. And what do? We go back. And all that happens is we just repeat the cycle. So there's a calmness, there's tension, there's the incident, there's reconciliation. So we keep going round and round and round. That's what happens to the abused person. That's why the victim never wants to leave, because they're trapped in this never-ending cycle of abuse. Thank you.
Well,
Dr. Charles,
that cycle, Dr. T, that cycle is what I described earlier on as what society has set up to be. Okay, so a woman who conforms to everything in that cycle, you are celebrated in a society. Okay,
yeah.
You are called, oh, the wife of Mrs. And, you know, you flaunt the ring and Mrs. And because that is what we celebrate. We celebrate that cycle that you described. Okay, and that is a death cycle. It has killed on countless women. And the men and women who are bold enough to step out of that cycle are victimized by society. Okay. What is wrong in being a single mother? There is nothing wrong with it. Okay. But our society has stigmatized people from being single parents. Okay, whether you're a single father or a single mother. But if we should rather celebrate them.
Yes.
For moving away from things that would damage them and damage their children. Dr. T, I'm sorry I need to refer to you in this because we are trying to be raw for our people to know that this is, you said the countless times you witnessed your dad abuse your mom still lives with you.
Yep.
That man damaged your mom and damaged you.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You know, so this is not okay. It is time we realize that there is nothing okay about that cycle.
Yes.
The man must be a man. The woman must be the woman who respects the other person. Okay. You know, I question myself sometimes. And, you know, when you're in relationships, most of the time we don't see the abusive tendencies of our partners. Most of the times.
Yes.
But, Dr. T, you see hints. You will see hints. Okay. And a friend told me something very powerful. He said, if you really want to know the man you are dating, ask the immediate past ex what caused the relationship to break down.
Wow.
They are your best guidance to say yes or no.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And
just when you ask them,
yeah.
they are hurt. They are filled with anger. And guess what? They will be blunt with you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Even if they lie and hide their side that contributed to the relationship to break down, they will be quite honest with you and tell that this guy abuses women. This guy beats me up. Okay, she will tell you. So be careful, because sometimes women protect women and they don't want you to get hurt. Okay, so this cycle is not okay. There's nothing okay with it. It is time that we break the cycle and realize that it is okay to leave. It is okay to start over. It is okay to call them out. Okay. Dr. Let me give you a typical example. In the olden days, do you remember that girls that came from families where there are a lot of boys, they never got abused by their husbands?
Of course.
That's true.
Why?
We saw that.
Because their brothers will warn the man, if you dare touch our sister, you will not pass here. So when a man knows that you have a protective cycle around you, they don't abuse you. That is why we need to ensure that we have a strong cycle around us, so that the man knows that if I beat this woman, this person will get to know. If I do this person will get to know. And we should know that it is okay to expose them.
Yes.
Protecting abusers empowers them and continues the cycle forever.
Absolutely.
Dr. Charles, when was it? I think in January, actually, in one of my controversial posts, I always do this to trigger people to have these discussions, because I tend to bring these difficult discussions for people to think. I actually wrote something on let's celebrate divorce. And people were triggered. Why would you say that? And you just actually amplified that. It's okay to leave an abusive marriage or relationship.
Yeah.
And us as a society or people around them, we need to celebrate those people because if they stayed longer, you guys just mentioned there's deaths involved. Let's actually talk about this staying and our parents because we are in a society, or actually, you know what? It's not even about our Black culture. Now we are in the Western world. Our patients are mostly, Dr. T, you'll agree with me, they're mostly Caucasian. They tell us the same things. People are telling, they're sharing stories that their fathers were abusive. We also have a culture here where people came from war-torn zones, where people came and witnessed child trauma. Like that was a very traumatic background. So sometimes these men and women come with such backgrounds of trauma, just being in the wars. There's people that come from Germany, from all parts of Europe, and they abused their wives here in this country. It has nothing to do with skin color, you know. But of course, them for some reason they evolved before us in terms of talking about this and not tolerating this. And we sit in our society, more especially in our society, we count and say these people have married 4 times. Oh my gosh, how can she divorce even the first man? We sit and judge these people,
Yeah.
and we don't have time or create time to ask their stories. Like you guys said, what happened to you? All right. So now it takes us back to how do we raise our children, boys and girls? I want you guys to comment on that.
Can you say the question again? Sorry, I didn't get it.
I'm saying the fact that we have tolerated abuse, it also goes back to how do we raise our children? Why do we tell our girls and boys to stay in toxic relationships? Why do we applaud it? Because a lot of times also parents, there's a lot of image issue that I don't want my child to divorce. What will it bring? Shame. It will bring shame to our family. Let's talk about that.
And that's it. I think Dr. Charles, I'll just say something quickly and then I'll let you reply there. So Dr. Onati, you already said the first thing is the stigma. It's the shame. Is, oh my God, Nigerians know we can be over the top when it comes to weddings. We spend millions of our local currency. We buy clothes. We rent big halls. Even when we can't afford it, we go and borrow the money because we want to celebrate this big wedding. So we do the wedding and 6-12 months later, our daughter is being beat up. You know what we'll tell them as mothers? Oh my God, what do you want your cousin and your auntie and your uncle and your friends to say and my friends to say? No, you got to stay there. So is the stigma, is the shame, is the cultural expectations that you should be there. It's the fact that how is the church? You know, for those of us that are Christians, the pastor will be like, oh no, you stay there. You know, we can pray for this brother. He will be a new person. And then it is trauma that has not been dealt with. You know, there's a common saying that they say, hurt people, hurt people. People are not born abusers. No man or woman is born and named an abuser. But there are things that would have gone on in the life of that person that has made them come here. Why do men see women as threats? It's because emotionally, psychologically, financially, socially, they feel disadvantaged. And the only way they can prove a point is to make sure they're pulling somebody else down, whether that is verbally, emotionally, or even physically. It's because of their own personal frustrations. So I don't want us to label people that, you know, in as much as the victim is a victim and we all feel sorry for the victim, but the perpetuator also has problems. Are we going to lock up all the abusers in jail?
Yes.
Thank you.
You know what? We have a society where we do not rehabilitate people. All we do, we throw them to jail. It becomes a cycle. They come back to the society with all these antisocial personality disorders, and we shame them. And when they come back, the society is not ready for these people. Even job market, there is none prepared for them. What do? They continue with their abuse. Dr. C, you want to chip in? Go ahead, Dr. Charles.
Well, Dr. T, you hit something very good. Why rehabilitation? The question is, that individual has been damaged from childhood. And that is the question that Dr. Unati was going into. How do we raise emotionally sensitive, intelligent children who will realize the signs and symptoms of abuse and also realize the tendency of them also abusing others. Because these are two things. Sometimes the abusers don't even know they're abusing you because it is what they know to be the norm. Okay. I
Absolutely.
saw a very powerful TikTok video where a toddler lived with a grandma, and the grandma, 89, 90, was walking and wobbly, and the toddler was following the grandma, mimicking the grandma. And that painted such a beautiful mental picture in my head. I'm like, oh my God, these children watch what we do and mimic us. There is a high probability, okay, that an abusive man will raise abusive boys and girls.
Yep.
That's it.
Period.
Yes.
Okay.
And you know
There's
what?
another high probability that the woman who stayed, okay, will raise girls and boys who are ready to receive abuse.
Yep.
Okay.
And I don't want us, Dr. Charles, to underestimate boys that live, that stay in abusive relationships or marriages. We wonder, this man is such a lovely man.
Correct.
Why did he attract such an abusive woman?
Exactly. And let me tell you one thing. It's quite interesting. You know, boys are very close to their mothers.
Yes.
Okay. So when they see the man abusing their mother, they begin to resent men. Okay. They begin to resent men so much so that when it is their time to marry, they will marry a woman, but they don't realize that that resentment for the man that they have built, that toxicity they've built in them, they need an avenue to vent it. And where do they vent it? On their wives. When she is doing something that is not right, they forget it. They forget that the resentment they had for their father, okay, has built up a trait in them. And that trait of defense and reaching out and hurting other people because they saw their mother being hurt. Have you seen a son defending the mother? They will kill you if you want to hurt their mom. But these same ones will beat their wives.
And Dr. Charles, we see the stats that they choose similar women like their moms.
Yes.
The meek type. The meek
Exactly.
type that they would actually overpower.
Exactly. So we need to be able to realize that we need to raise children that recognizes abuse first thing.
That's it. Finish.
And
Yes.
also, they also need to recognize when they also become abusers.
Yep. So,
It's very critical. We can't fix them. They have to be able to fix themselves. And you know, the only person who can fix them most of the time are the parents. Because they listen to them and tell them, no, Charles, don't do this. This is exactly what your dad did to me. Don't do this to your wife. And usually when that is coming from a place of love, the men, they do listen. Or the women, they do listen. So raising emotionally intelligent children is very key. That is why we need to be careful what we do in the presence of our children in the home. They observe, they see, and they delay in putting it into practice. And that is the danger. Because at that time, they cannot put that into practice. They are young. But when they grow up and they are on their own, they will put what they learned at home into practice. And that goes into Dr. T's beautiful description of that cycle, the cycle of abuse.
Yes.
Because they're also going to raise the next generation to be abusers.
If we don't break it,
And
I want us to talk about, Dr. T, when you chip in, I would like you to also touch on financial and sexual abuse in relationships. This one, we don't talk about it. Yes.
Wow.
I want you
Okay.
guys, because we've
What I
talked
was just
about
going to
the
say,
physical.
yeah, that as parents, one thing we can also try and teach our children, especially when we have children that are male and female together, is how to treat other people, how to respect them, how to know that you should treat a lady like one, you should treat your girl like a lady, you should let them go ahead of you. So little tips like that would help them to know that they need to respect the other person. And I mean, in my culture, for example, those days when I was growing up, girls went to the kitchen, not the boys. The boys could play football outside all day while the girls cooked. So the girls learned to care, and the guys just had food set for them, and they would go ahead and eat. So things like that, getting your boys involved in more things in the home, getting them to be more responsible in the home would help them to grow to be more responsible adults, more rounded adults, and they will learn to respect the opposite sex. So talking about financial and sexual abuse, oh my God, that's such a packed topic. Now,
actually, it has to be a part 2.
Yes, I'm going to touch on the sexual abuse. That's when sex is almost used as a weapon. So it is used as a weapon either to suppress the person, or the lack thereof is used as a weapon to suppress that person as well. So you can be abused in a relationship if you are forced to have intimate sexual contact with your partner without your consent, or the partner withholds sex from you to punish you because you've done something wrong to them. So they will deprive you of that emotional, connection. They will deprive you of so many other things. They will deprive you of affection. They would humiliate you when you're outside. They will make fun of you and laugh at you in the midst of their friends while you're there. Like passing comments like, "Oh, your wife looks so good. You can see my own madam. She's so fat. I don't know what we're going to do to get her slimmer." And then you get home and she's like, "Oh, babe, why did you say that?" I said, "Can't you see you're fat?" Putting the woman down, psychologically abusing that woman, making her feel less than. And so it should not be tolerated, whether using sex as a weapon, that is withholding sex, or having sex with your partner without your partner's consent. Sex is about the enjoyment of both parties. It's not only for the one person. People have sex, have an orgasm, and men just finish off. That's it. They don't care if their woman is satisfied or not. That's selfishness. And if that carries on, it can actually be tantamount to abuse. Now, financial. I think Dr. Charles spoke about that now the tide is turning. Men are no longer always the breadwinner. We're having women with more education. We're having women with more exposure. We're having women having more financial grit and financial power in the home. But at the end of the day, one thing I say is that women are still women. We're emotional beings. We want to be loved. We want to be cared for. We don't want you to define us based on what we have or what we've been able to attain. That is a plus to you as the man. And never, ever see that as a threat. Never take that as a threat. Love your woman. Her money is your money. Let her feel comfortable enough to share what she has with you. And don't use that against her. Don't misinterpret every statement she makes as, "Oh, it's because you earn more than me. It's because you pay the mortgage. It's because you have this fantastic job as a doctor." She's still your wife. The doctor is
and you know what, Dr. T?
still your wife.
Yes. And also, I would like you to comment on, also, Dr. Charles, you can chip in. When it's the wife that does that, or the female partner does that to the male, you abuse them by terrorizing them because you have more money. It also sometimes it's the opposite. Right?
You see, power play in intimate relationship is quite interesting. There are two key things usually that one person will have over the other. Okay. When it comes to sex, women hold the upper hand because men, our sex drive, as soon as our testosterone levels go up, we become monsters. We want to be free. And nothing you say will listen. And women know this. And that is why they say that a woman who knows how to use her worth as a woman can control the most powerful king in the world.
Yeah.
Okay? Women know this. Women are very brilliant, very intelligent beings, and they know. So they can wrap us around their fingers with sex. And then it will become like the proverbial dog that is fed at 12 o'clock. If you behave well, we'll give you a little bit. Ding! Good job. You get a
there
drop.
You go.
The next time you behave well, you get another one. When you start treating a man that way, then they begin to also putting on where they also have the strength over you. And woe unto you if it is finances. Then he said, "I said, oh, okay, I should do the work, bring the money home, And in my own house, I get treated like a slave in my own house, to an extent that even what I do believe that we have all agreed and come together in the eyes of the law and the society that we both enjoy now has become a weapon in the marriage. Okay. When you talk to men, especially those who have moved migrated to North America, you will hear such comments. I'm tired. Leave me alone. Oh, is it every day you want it?
Oh, yeah.
And look, and this same man has sexual needs. No woman should underestimate the sexual needs of a man. I am a man and I'm speaking for all men today. If you do not provide him sexual gratification, and I always tell people that there's more to sex than a man just jacking off. Okay? Why will a man continue to go to one particular woman all the time, regardless of how many women he sees? It's not love. Oh. That woman has been able to unlock something in his brain, and that brain is craving for that thing all the time. And sometimes women don't understand. So, of all that I give you, why are you still chasing that woman? Because that one has been able to unlock something in the brain of that man. Okay. And he has become addicted to it, and he will always go back to that person. And that results in a cycle of what we call cheating. And usually, men have a higher tendency to take another woman in a relationship. Women, I keep saying that we talk about sexual cheating, but there's also financial cheating in a marriage, where one person who earns more dictates the pace of whatever gets done in the home, dictates what gets bought, dictates whatever it is. The very moment that power play dynamic starts existing, everybody will look for where they also have power and pay back. So there will be no forgiveness. All that you see is payback, payback, payback. And Dr. T said it, when it enters into a cycle of abuse, everybody is right. Have you seen two couples fighting before? Oh, it's nasty. Nobody is wrong. Everyone, because it has built up over the years and everybody is hurt. And when you listen to each individual, you realize that both sides are so wrong. No one is right. Okay. And usually we don't tell them the truth that, look, you are wrong. She's wrong. No one is right. Because it started from that morning you didn't give him breakfast. And he complained and said, we are in Canada. Can't you get up and get breakfast yourself? But he remembers that when you got married, you provided him breakfast when you were in South Africa. All of a sudden, you get to Canada and you are the 21st century woman who does not provide for your family. And this is a man who might be working 72 hours a week to put food on the table. Reverse it. This could be a woman who goes out there and works 100 hours a week. And you sit on your TV room. This woman comes from work and you want her to come and provide dinner for you. What happened to getting up and providing dinner for her? So when you start treating each other as human beings, you realize that most of these tendencies to bring power play into the marriage goes down. When you start treating each other with respect, my powerful friend, he said something, he said, if people start treating their partners in marriages 1/4 the way they treat their pets, there will be no divorces. Think about it.
Wow.
1/4.
So, you know
Not
what?
half. 1/4.
Dr. Charles,
Not half. 1/4 the way they treat their pets, there will be no divorces. I'll stop there.
now let's talk about normalizing psychotherapy, because we have honored the spiritual approach. We go to our pastors, we go to our relatives. Can we talk about that piece? Because I see that field where people, even pastors, they abuse their congregation. They shame them for seeking help outside. You seem like you don't have enough faith. Let's talk about that congregational abuse, because people do not seek professional help because of pastors who have a hold, who have power over these families. I want to throw it to you guys. Talk about that piece. People need to normalize psychotherapy.
Absolutely. And psychologists, just like doctors and other types of specialists, are there for a reason. They are trained to do what they do. They have a reason why they have that qualification. And being a pastor, you've been called by God. You might have gone to Bible school, but you can't say going to Bible school will not make you a doctor. And going to medical school will not make me a pastor. Therefore, we should all respect the qualification that everybody has. And I'm sorry, my sisters and my brothers out there, if you're in a church where your pastor will not let you see a doctor, see a psychologist, you are in a cult. You are in the wrong place. And it's time for you to get out, because we should all respect what the qualifications and the gifts that's implanted in each and every one of us. If I have a broken bone, I won't go to a skin doctor. I'll go to an orthopedic specialist to fix that for me. If I have a mental health problem, I'll see a psychiatrist. If I need counseling for my spiritual growth, I'll see my pastor. And we already talked on this, how traumatized people traumatize others. The psychologist will be there to help dig into your personal life and may be able to find out why you do some of the things you do, why you are in such a place. Maybe it's anger management, whatever it is. They're able to give you evidence-based studies and approaches that would help you. It's not guesswork. This thing is all based on science. It's all based on research. They're not just waking up and saying, go for cognitive behavior therapy. No, we've studied over years and years and years of how the human brain works, how we synthesize things. And then we give you suggestions and recommendations about how best you can help yourself. I'm a medical doctor, but I still have apps on my phone that help me relax, that help me to mindfully meditate, that help me to shut out all the noises around me so that I can focus and I can be more productive. I'll stop there.
Wow.
That's it. You nailed it.
You guys are like this. I just
And the
love
part
you.
that what's so powerful is that if you have a broken leg, you don't go to a skin doctor.
Absolutely.
I want that to stick. Now, you see, I think we are in an era of using too many big words and it scares people. What is a counselor? What is psychotherapy? We have had them for centuries. Growing up back home, we have elderly men, elderly women, respectful men, respectful women that we want to talk to in our churches, in our workplaces, in the society. There are some people who you even go and see. You know, they were known. They didn't have any formal training, but they were known to help people overcome anxiety, to overcome and those are the quite spiritual attacks, because we didn't understand what was happening to us. Some of them, you go to depression and they tell you that it is your auntie in the village that has put a curse on you. So then go for prayers. Look, the time has come for everyone to know that there is nothing that you cannot solve through the medical fields and through proper training. So we need to break things down and create a connection for people. Okay, I asked myself, why is it that in Canada we have free medical care, but we don't have free mental health care?
There is actually.
Why do I have to go and pay to see a psychologist? But if I have headache, I just go to Dr. Unati. Doc, I've been having headache for 2 weeks now. Dr. Unati, okay, doc, take this medication, you will be fine. Why can't I walk in to see a psychiatrist or a counselor too? So it is about time mental health is added to our healthcare and made more accessible to everyone. Because how will it be when you walk to Dr. T's office and after telling Dr. T all your problems says, oh, you came to the wrong person, you need to go see Mr. So and so. He is a counselor. Your problem is counseling. So he's next door. Go see him. So that it becomes part of our healthcare system. Right now, it is isolated, and that is why it is stigmatized. And we should not forget how the field of psychology evolved. It evolved from people who, excuse my language, who were severely mentally deranged in the olden days, where they were institutionalized and studied, were called all sorts of names. And the field had evolved now to realize that no, the problem could be more prevalent. So that stigma is there. So I don't want to go
Yes.
see a shrink, because then you're
Yes.
going to say, ah, your husband is now gone mad. Oh, he's now talking to one doctor about his mental health. Oh, you
Hmm.
know, we need to change the way we make these things accessible to people so
Absolutely.
Yes.
that people
You
will
know
feel
what, Dr. Charles?
in getting those treatments.
Yes. And actually, you're talking about how isolated these services are. We were talking with friends that we probably even need to introduce it in schools. Let's talk about mental health in schools as part of the subject
Yeah,
so that the kids, because we have not even touched actually how much trauma children go through being in these abusive marriages, the
correct.
bullying they do at school. We
Yeah.
wonder why kids as young as 3 years old, they bully others. They mimicking what they see at home. So when we
Hmm.
start teaching such empathy, such compassion in school, it's collaborated in their school system. I think that's where we need to do it. Like even Dr. T, I would love to see doctors being part of the curricula, education
Yes.
curricula, the psychologists being part of the curricula. You
Yeah.
understand? Because today we have even bullies in the workplace where people are narcissists and no one calls them out
No.
because these people have come from all these traumatic childhood backgrounds. We don't talk about this. Actually, there was even actually this discussion started when we saw this. I think I sent it to you,
Yeah.
Dr. Charles,
You
where
did.
we talked about actually, let's even talk about when you're going to get married or you go into your relationship. Know the history, the mental health history of this person and his family or her family. Let's talk about their finances, right?
Dr.
Let's
Rati,
talk about these things.
that point, it's become very normal nowadays that people say, "Oh, can I see your health record?" Okay,
Oh,
HIV negative,
Yes,
tuberculosis negative. What about the person's mental
mental.
health?
yes.
What about the person's mental health? Can you see,
Family
and
history.
and sometimes in going delving deeper into this, we should also try and talk to people who know these people when they were growing up.
Hmm.
Okay,
Yes.
and
Normalize it.
that is why I always say that our grandfathers and our great grandfathers were not fools. Those were the reasons why they will prevent you ever from marrying into certain families. Those were the reasons why when you come home and say, Mama, I am bringing this gentleman home, they will send people to their family and investigate to
Yes.
make sure it is okay for you to marry from that family. They
That's
were
true.
not fools. They understood mental health problems. Okay. They knew that is what some families in the past never allowed their daughters or their sons to marry into certain families because of certain traits that they have seen.
Yeah.
But nowadays we have come into the world where we meet the person on social media. We
Hmm.
look at physique, appearance, hips, boob size, lip size, nose shape, earring size, the slangs they speak. Oh yes,
That's the
that is
one.
her.
That's it.
Yeah, let's get married.
Yes.
But
Error.
error. What goes beyond that?
Yeah.
And my good friend always tells me, "Sir Charles, don't forget one thing. Beyond orgasm, there are realities.
Absolutely.
Don't
I
ever
know
forget it."
that we talk about these issues, guys, and we tend to belittle them. And even now, they're so much easier. Now people get into relationships so easy. It's just a text.
Yeah.
It's just a text. It's a DM. People now, they don't even, there's no formal asking each other out. It has
No.
become that easy. So we need to do the work in our children because it has become that easy. There is no understanding or learning each other anymore.
Hmm.
It's
Well,
that.
sometimes people call that standards. Oh, this girl has high standards. No, she does not have high standards. She's looking for the right person. Period.
Absolutely.
Yes.
That's it.
Period.
If your children have standards to meet, if your children, you raise them to say, look, it's not beyond, yeah, get the physique, get all the physique, but please, this layer must also be there.
Hmm.
And until you get that layer, it's a non-fit. That to me is critical. So we need to raise children that have standards, okay,
Yes.
and not become so easily accessible. Because let me tell you one thing: in the olden days, marriages became so expensive because they wanted to prevent divorces.
Yeah.
So they made marriages super expensive. So that if you are willing to spend that much money on marrying that person, you are not ready to go. Okay. So
Absolutely.
have standards. And if that man or woman is able to meet those standards and is accepted, they will treasure you. Because let me tell you one thing, Dr. Unati, women love jewelry, don't they? But
Oh, too much.
there are some types that you only wear it for certain occasions. Why?
Mhm.
Because they're
It's
expensive.
expensive.
Okay, you worked hard to get it,
To get it?
to buy it.
Yeah.
You remember that day you swipe your credit card when 5,000 went away. So
Mhm.
that jewelry is kept somewhere. It's
Mhm.
gold.
Mhm.
But when it is so easy and it is in your hand, easy to throw away, you
Hmm.
don't treat it with respect.
Wow.
Wow. So
Have some
parents,
work.
I'm loving it. People are here. We need to raise emotionally intelligent and assertive children.
That's a,
How we
they need
also
to know
conduct
themselves. Because
ourselves.
if you cheapen yourself to everyone,
You're treated that way.
you are treated that way.
Absolutely.
Period.
Yeah. I did an IG live, I think 2-3 weeks ago, about self-worth, about putting a right label on yourself, about respecting yourself, respecting your body, respecting what's private to you. Really, really important, because people will treat you the way you present yourself
The way
to
you
them.
present
If you
yourself.
present yourself as a slut, you'll be treated that way. If you
That's it.
present yourself as a woman of value, you'll be treated that way. And it's up to you to make that decision. I just wanted to touch on one or two things here. I know we're running out of time. The first thing is the impact of COVID. The last 3 years, we've had to deal with this pandemic. And I must let you know, it's really hit a lot of relationships very hard.
Yes.
Men that have become frustrated because they don't have a job anymore, may have become more irritable, may have become abusers because of the stress they're going through. So if in your current relationship, I mean, it's good for people that are not yet in a relationship, that are not married. It's okay for us to say be emotionally intelligent. And about those people that are already in
Already in
relationships?
it.
How do we identify the stressors? How do we make sure that we are addressing them so that marriages do not break down? I've seen so many marriages break down over the last 2-3 years because of the effects of the COVID pandemic. People might have, made all the sacrifices to be married, but then the stress comes. The issues come, the financial stresses, the loss of job, working from home. This woman, you only saw 6-8 hours a day. Now you have to be with her 24/7. Same for the man. It's caused a lot of strain in relationships. So if you ever feel you need help or you're struggling, I would say please talk to a doctor, talk to a counselor, and make sure that we're not losing our focus and our relationships. Because there's an adage in my place that says, when two elephants fight, is the grass that suffers.
Yes.
You understand? So when we fight, when we break up, when we destroy our relationships, our kids suffer for
Our
life.
kids suffer for life.
And lastly, if you ever feel you are going through any kind of abuse, we haven't touched on everything today. Know there is help available. And for us from ethnic minorities, especially the African subcontinent, we hardly go to shelters because again of the stigma. So just know that there is help available and there's nothing to be ashamed of. Recently, I was just put on the board of a corporation called the Roots House. It's a charity that focuses on ethnic minorities to help them when they are going through domestic violence and abuse. If you have your husband beating you up every day, there's nothing wrong in calling 911, please. There's always victim assistance out there. Make use of the help that is available to you. There's nothing to be ashamed of. You don't want to put your life on the line. Thank
You
you.
know what, Dr. T, before you chip in, Dr. Charles, look, we are in Calgary, right? And I was actually talking to a colleague, a psychiatrist who works here in Foothills. And guess I was asking actually Dr. Charles, do you know where the highest admissions and also the consults, mental health consults in the city? It's in the Southwest and the Northwest.
Wow.
And I was not surprised because look at this. Immigrants, mostly in our city, they're in the Northeast and the Southeast, but Peter Lougheed is empty. I was wowed by that.
They don't go.
They don't go. People they call back home and their parents back home said, please stay. You guys touched on this. So truly, we need to start accessing these services. Actually, I posted right in the beginning where to find these services. Guys, they are free. There's hotlines. Dr. Charles, you go ahead.
Doc, let me summarize the few things we've raised today. beyond all the discussions that we've had today, we should not forget about the human element. And Dr. Unati and Dr. T, you may have mentioned that there are men and women who have suffered traumatic experiences from childhood, and it is buried deeper within themselves that they themselves don't know they are hurt or even injured. Okay, so they don't know they are hurt or injured. How do they even seek help? We have to treat our partners like pets. By pets, I mean see that person fallible. See that person that they will err. See that person that they are capable of causing you harm. See that person that no matter what, you forgive that person. See that, treat them like you treat your pets. We take pets home to love them unconditionally, no expectations in return.
Yeah.
So, but anytime the pet responds to our love, guess what? We are happy. And the other person should also do the same thing. One of the things I want to tell our men and women is that now that you are home due to COVID and this person is in your space, remember, throughout the marriage, and I was telling a friend that we spend more time outside more than we spend at home.
Absolutely.
Most of the time you leave in the morning, spend the entire day, Monday to Friday out. Okay. You only see her Saturday and Sunday. All right. And everybody is mentally prepared to see that person Monday to Sunday. Okay. Now, all of a sudden, you are not mentally
Every day.
prepared to deal with this guy Monday to Sunday. That is a problem. You need to recognize that. That's the first thing. And talk about it. Say, look, I'm struggling. Be vulnerable with each other. Let them know. And when you are seeking help for them, don't let it come during the time of misunderstanding. That is when you say you are sick, you need help. No, that is not the time it is the time that you are happy. It is the time that you've had 2 or 3 good bouts of sex that you tell him that 3 weeks ago, I saw some traits here and it didn't go well. Maybe we need to, I think I need help. You also might need, let's go talk to somebody. What do you
I
think?
love it.
It might help.
You know what, Dr.
Because
Charles, thank you so
in
much.
the heat of the argument, that is not when you prescribe a counselor for him to go and see or for her to go and see. That is like telling the person you are crazy. It's an insult at that particular moment. So let us also be emotionally intelligent to our partners. The last thing I want to say is forgive, but don't forget. Okay. Let me tell you the reason why. There's a huge people misconstrue forgiveness and forgetfulness. Forgive the person, but don't forget it. Watch for the traits, and when you see it, act on it. Say, this is exactly what you did the last time, and you ended up hating me. I forgive you, and I can see it coming again. You stop the person in their tracks before it becomes a cycle. Okay. Third one, it is okay to pack your bags and leave. Save your life. If you die, your children will be raised by another individual and you roll in your casket because they will abuse your children even more. So save yourself. If you really love your children, don't stay and endure abuse. If you love your children, leave and protect them. Okay? Staying is not always okay. You only stay with a man who has agreed to seek help and wants you to even help them. Or you stay with a woman who has agreed to seek help and wants you to be part of her healing process. Finally, know that we have to be fair in our relationships, whether married or courting, or we have to be fair. And being fair, we have to be fair sexually. We need to make sure we are satisfying both. Some women think that beyond penetration, a man is satisfied. No, men, we want our brains to be dazzled. We want you to mesmerize our brain, and women know how to do it. So if you don't do it, another woman will do it for him, and you will lose him. Okay, he will see you and doesn't even recognize you. Men should also realize that their women want to be pampered and loved. Okay, if you are able to buy rose flower, it's $6 for that woman on your way home. Why can't you buy the same thing for your wife? The woman who has born children for you. There are some men who has never bought a gift for their wives forever,
Yeah.
because they think there's a woman at home. And when you see somebody wearing some skimpy, tight dresses and you like it, buy it for her. Show kindness in relationship. Kindness, extreme kindness, will suppress most of this unintentional and all this bickering. You are at home, she is stressed. What happened to stepping out to buy her a sushi and surprising her for lunch? Do you know what that will do at home that afternoon? You will reap a lot of benefits. Your lunchtime will be fantastic. This breaks things down. But the very moment you don't develop this forgiveness and forgetfulness in a marriage or in a relationship, things get out of hand. My last point, and I will leave you: do not tie behavior to the power piece in a relationship. For example, sex, money. Don't tie issues in the marriage to these things. The very moment you do that, okay, and this is a caution to both men and women, and a more caution to men. When the woman is financially not in a good place and you punish her financially, if one day the tides turn and she now earns more money than you, trust me, payback becomes the order of the day. And when a woman wants to pay you back, it is so painful. That's for them, they will not hide it. The women, they will pay you back well. You will see it. Okay. And there's nothing you can do about it. So what I'm trying to say is that be kind, be gentle, forgive. Don't forget. And not forgetting will help you prevent future abuses. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you so much,
Dr.
Dr. Charles.
Charles. We're going to come back on
Awesome.
part 2, guys. Yeah. We're coming back with part 2. Yes, Dr. T.
I think with Dr. Charles to talk to us, give us some sex education, seriously, on the future show, and how, especially for us, how men and women can really express themselves. I see a lot of knowledge there. But to round up, I mean, we can talk about all the problems, but we also need to look at the management or the solutions. We talked about getting help. And for anyone that is facing abuse, the first thing you need to do is to identify the abuse. Ask yourself, am I being abused? Why? What have I seen? What have I experienced? We've touched on some of those today. The second thing is to know is that you come first. You can't say, oh, because I want to be married, then I'm nothing, because it's all about the partner, it's all about the other person. The third thing is to affirm yourself. Give yourself value. Give yourself worth. Thirdly, like Dr. Charles was saying, you forgive but do not forget. Establish boundaries. And make sure there are consequences. So if you tell your partner, I will not take you raising your voice on me, the next time you do, I'm going to leave the house and I'm going to take a walk. You're setting a boundary. And the next time they do that, make sure you carry that through. Don't make your boundaries shifting sand. So whatever that looks like to you. Lastly, most people that are victims of abuse blame themselves. They feel they are the ones at fault. So stop the self-blame. Reconnect to get enough support. Always have an exit plan, especially if you are being physically abused. Have an exit plan. Have a spare key somewhere. Find a way to have a spare car key somewhere, because some abusers will steal your car keys so that you cannot leave, so you feel trapped. Always have an exit plan. And as we said, leave if you have to, because your life is more important than keeping any relationship for anybody. And also to know that there is help available. Access them. Don't be ashamed of it. You're not the only one going through this pain. There's several people, but don't become a statistic. Don't become a dead person because you put up with what you shouldn't have put up with. Thank you very much.
Wow. Thank you so much, guys. And I think we need to do a second part. We did not even talk about the sexual abuse that even leads to illnesses like HIV. We did not touch about on issues where you get this abuse even post-divorce or post-relationship when it has ended. There's been sex that has been, people when they are protected from getting to see their children, without doing this for me, I'm not going to let you. There's so many things that are happening out there. And of course, Dr. Charles, and he educated us a bit on sex. We need to also realize this, man, this is a lesson from me as a female. Sex is not about penetration only. Satisfy your women. It's not only about penetration. A lot of times men, they climb in there, they ejaculate, and that's it. Women play with their clitoris. That is the powerful organ they have in their bodies. Play with their clitoris. And as we close, thank you so much to our viewers. Thank you. You're still here. Thank you. I actually posted here the free hotlines. Reach out to your own countries. I only posted the Canadian ones. These are all free. Reach out. They're 24/7. Next time we're gonna come back. Actually, we're gonna take a deep delve actually on these aspects I just mentioned. When we come back next week, I'm gonna bring them again. Actually, I have already told them they're coming back. We're gonna take a deep dive, and we're gonna bring another lady here who's a psychotherapist who's gonna give us more gems. So again, thank you so much, Dr. T and Dr. Charles. It's always amazing to have you here because I love your rawness. You bring these raw discussions people don't want to talk about, and yet they experience these issues every day. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. And
Thank
have
you.
a wonderful weekend to all the
Thank
viewers.
you. You bet.
Thank you so much, guys. Take care. Enjoy your weekend.